I'm watching very closely this draft, Brandon Aiyuk, because he was in the doghouse for some time and has been off and on, it seems, over the last couple of years, this former first round wide receiver. And I know that the San Francisco 49ers did extend, I believe, the 5th-year option for Brandon Aiyuk. However, that just means that he's locked in for a 5th year. We've seen other wide receivers who have what would be first or second round pedigree get traded on draft night for these long extensions. AJ Brown, Marquise Hollywood Brown come to mind immediately. And San Francisco does not have a first round or second round pick in this year's draft. So I think that Brandon Aiyuk is quietly on the trade block here because they have Debo, they have a few other players, and they have some third round draft capital to mess around with as well, to be able to see maybe they can find some other small players to complement moving forward, just to see what else they can get out of this wide receiver core. Because Brandon Aiyuk, he was okay. He was good, like, for the second half of last year. He ended up finishing with over 1,000 receiving yards. He was wide receiver 15, but he didn't offer a lot of spike weeks. And that was the problem, I think, for our best ball teams. Is we hoped that he would be very valuable, but Aiyuk was a 4.07 best ball value rating. That was wide receiver 42 for me, or wide receiver 41, I'm sorry. And only 22% of the time was at least a flex play for you in your best ball leagues. So in that like range of outcomes, Dan, you mentioned it earlier, and we've been talking about it even off air as well, is like, what does this bell curve look like for Brandon Aiyuk? And it's very limited, even floor and ceiling. Like only 4% of the time was Brandon Aiyuk a top 5 wide receiver, and 4% is like once every 25 games. So maybe you'll be able to get one of those types of games in a season if you're lucky. So we'll see if Brandon Aiyuk is on the trade block, or if the San Francisco 49ers want to address the wide receiver position in some other way. I just see this formula playing out almost every year.
Yeah, I totally agree, because one of the things is with San Francisco, it just doesn't pass that much. And when you've got 4 guys who are really good in the passing game with Bo and Aiyuk and Kittle and then CMC.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get chronically underused, and it seems like it's Aiyuk. He's done a lot with the opportunities he's had. So I like the talent, I like the player, but the way he ends up getting used in that offense, he's basically like a rich man's Gabe Davis. He's going to get you. I think he's got a better weekly floor than Gabe Davis, but I think he's got that similar ceiling. He might get you 15 to 20 points a few times, but he's not going to go over 20 points.
Yeah, in the same range as Aiyuk, at least comparing to last year, was KJ Osborne, DJ Chark, Rashad Bateman, Rondell Moore. So that's not going to really get it done for you. From a fantasy perspective, from real life, maybe the 49ers, really do like that he offers something different from the Yak monsters that are Debo and Kittle and McCaffrey, but Aiyuk still is a decent yards after catch type of wide receiver. So it's a hard read, but this seems like the blueprint that other teams have used to offload their former first round wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit nervous about ever banking on a trade, like to hold somebody's value or vault somebody's value. And I think where Aiyuk is going, you almost need that trade to happen just for him to return value in best ball drafts. Otherwise, I think he's a little bit overvalued right now with what his role is likely to be with San Francisco. I don't like relying on that trade, so I'm light on Aiyuk right now. I've just been taking him a little bit of him as he here and there where he drops. I don't know how you've been handling him, Bradley, but that's what I've been doing.
I'll sprinkle him in here and there. You can't ignore he finished as wide receiver 15 in fantasy points total, but it's the points per game that really is a struggle for me. He's pretty consistent, but doesn't spike as much as you'd like him to. And then there's questions about the quarterback. Who are we going to get this year, and for what stretches, and what kind of chemistry are they going to have? So I have concerns, but I'll still sprinkle him in. I don't want to miss out if there is a trade. Let's say something big happens with Aiyuk. He could benefit from a change of scenery.
Yeah, absolutely. And It's also a good point that with Trey Lance at quarterback, if that's what ends up happening, that might not be good for any of the pass catchers, really.